Hey, how's it going, everybody? All right, not good morning, but it's more like good night. So today's video, I want to go over how we can throw a power hook. I call it a power hook, but really it's just how to use the hook and hit harder, all right? And in order to do that, well, first let me show you what it looks like, and then I'll have something to compare it with the normal, no power hook. All right, so let me throw it a couple times. Ready, and nice and tucked in. Go to the other side. Power hooks are nothing to play with first and foremost, because if you do it incorrectly, it hurts. All right, it hurts good, and not in a good way either. It hurts bad actually. Now, what's happening when you're throwing the power hook? All right, you're basically using your whole body to drive a whole tonnage of force into the punch. All right, and now if you watch the video, or if you can rewind back, you'll see that my body is way more tucked in than it would be during a normal hook. All right, now I'll demonstrate that one so we have something to compare that with. So essentially, when you throw normal hooks, it's more of like a snap, and that's because you want to make that hook fast, right? You throw the hook, you still wind up. So you realize I'm extending my arm. And anytime you extend your extremities away from your core, you're going to lose power, all right? You're not going to be able to generate as much force as you can, which is why knees are so much stronger than kicks. I mean, still effective, don't get me wrong, but you know where I'm going with this. The other reason why power hooks, they work better that way is that, well, I would almost say it's less damage to you, more damage to them, because the farther away your limbs, your extremities come away from your core, your center, the more mechanics are involved to make sure things don't go wrong. So you have to make sure the structure is right. When you throw a hook like this, you gotta make sure your shoulder is locked down correctly. You gotta make sure your lats are locked down correctly. You gotta make sure your elbows, as you strike and you whip it, you're able to pull it back in enough, all right? And then you gotta play around with the hand positioning and come back here. So there's a lot of things to basically, think about as you're throwing the normal hook. The power hook, because it's so much more powerful, you still gotta be careful with it, because, if you've never thrown a hook before and you go and use this hook, you're gonna almost break some bones, I would even say wrists, if you hit the surface improperly, all right? But here's why the power hook is good, because you're using it on the Wavemaster, and here's the mechanics behind it and the technique-ish, all right? So when you're throwing a power hook, we're gonna not extend our extremities so far away from the center. We're gonna keep everything tucked nice and close, just like this. And notice when I rotate my whole body, all right? There's a couple of places you can basically move from, all right? Watch this. Well, I have a midsection, all right? It's my lumbar. You want to keep that locked down when you throw the power hook, all right? A lot of times when people punch, they punch and they rotate from their midsection. Notice my hips are barely moving. So now what I'm doing is using basically my mid-back to throw some strikes, and I don't want that at all, right? That's how you can develop back problems, possibly, if you throw hard enough and miss. And now it's kind of like weightlifting. If you've ever been into weightlifting, you're gonna wanna lock the core down and the mid-back. And now instead of rotating from that part, now you're rotating from, I would say, the knees. You're really just twisting on your foot, but you're driving with the hips. Now you're driving with the hips. But first, lock down the core, lock down your back and left, and keep everything tight, and just whip from the hips. If you want, do it with me right now. Just whip, back and forth. The idea is to make sure you give yourself the proper footwork behind the whip. You can stay planted if you want, but your back can only take so much before you loosen up. So make sure you're light on your feet. All right, so that's how it looks. Then because now I'm so close to my body, my core, I can generate more power. So that way now when I do the rotation and the twist, I drive my hips into it. And notice my foot changes as well. Notice my belt is whipping and I'm driving with the hips. Woo. That's the technique. Not a whole lot to it, and I figure you guys would like that if you get bored on your Weight Masters and you want to work on something new. But even the extension of the punch, I'm really extending right here. This is as far as I go because I still want to keep a lot of my joints locked down to keep it from taking on so much trauma in a sense, traumatic stress from the impact of the strike. All right? Because if you do that strike, and you don't lock things down properly, you're gonna get hurt point blank, period. So make sure you lock those things down first. All right? Now, when it comes to keeping yourself safe, you guys, that's number one, please think of that. Go slow at first. Realize where you are at the point of impact. And after a while, add more rotation into it. You can go high, you can go low, and you can even spin through it like you're doing a spin move. So that way you can learn how to put your whole body into it. All right? Just be careful throwing that move. I thought it would be fun to kind of, show off in a sense, because I am showing it off. I like doing it every once in a while just to see how much force I could generate for being 5'5" and 130 pounds, right? Imagine a big guy like you or a big woman like you or someone with a decent size being able to generate a whole ton of force, all right? Have fun with it, take it slow, and remember this, technical details are, you're locking this down, you're locking these down, you're locking your mid-back, you're just really staying tight and you're rotating everything. Don't move with the midsection, and then you drive in, drive. Keep close and drive. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that, and wait for the next video. Peace.